Have you ever heard a sound that gets carved into your bones? Not a scream, not a crash, but laughter. Cold, sharp, mocking laughter. It's a sound that doesn't fade. It follows you into your dreams, into your quiet moments, poisoning every memory you thought was sweet. For me, that laughter wasn't just a sound. It was a verdict, a sentence passed on my life by the very people I thought were my family. My name is Leo, and this is a story of how I built a castle of success from the ashes of their ridicule and how that castle became their prison. It all starts, as these stories often do, with love. Blind, trusting, foolish love. I was the dreamer in a family of calculators. While my older brother, Marcus, talked stocks and real estate at the dinner table, and my sister, Chloe, maneuvered through social circles like a chessboard, I was in the barrage, tinkering, creating. I saw magic in lines of code, in the way you could build entire worlds from nothing but an idea and relentless passion. My parents, they humored me. Leo's little hobby, my father would say, clapping me on the shoulder with a smile that never quite reached his eyes. It's cute, but you'll need a real career soon. Marcus can get you an interview at the firm. My big idea was Kaleidoscope. Not just another social media app, but a platform for creators, a place where artists, musicians, writers, and filmmakers could share their work in immersive, interactive portfolios, a digital gallery, a stage. I believed in it with every fiber of my being. I spent 3 years of my life living on instant noodles, working a data entry job by day, and coding through the night. My social life was my screen. My girlfriend, Serena, she tried to understand, but the distance my dream created was a chasm even love struggled to cross. The day I finally had a working prototype, I was vibrating with excitement. This was it, my proof. I called a family dinner, not at my cramped apartment, but at my parents' beautiful, cold minimalist home. I remember the weight of my laptop bag on my shoulder. It felt like I was carrying my own heart in there. I poured my soul out for 20 minutes. I showed them the sleek interface, the revolutionary interactive features, the business model that would empower creators. I talked about the seed funding I was seeking, the future. My voice was thick with passion, my hands tracing possibilities in the air. When I finished, there was silence. Not the silence of awe, the silence of a vacuum. Then it came. Marcus leaned back, a slow, patronizing smirk spreading across his face. He didn't look at the screen, he looked at me. "So," he said, his voice dripping with faux curiosity, "you built a fancy website for starving artists, and you want people to pay for this?" A snort came from Chloe. She was scrolling through her phone. "Leo, sweetie, it's adorable, really, but who cares? People want to see funny cat videos and what their friends ate for lunch, not some indie band's depressing music video." My father cleared his throat, the sound like a judge's gavel. "Leonidas," he began, using my full name, which he only did when he was deeply disappointed. "We've supported your creative phase, but you're 27. Marcus was running a division at your age. This kaleidoscope, it's a fantasy. It's time to grow up. Come work with us, be part of something real." But the worst blow wasn't their dismissal, it was my mother. She reached over, patting my hand with a sad, pitying smile. "We just worry about you, Leo. All this time alone in that dark room, chasing this pain. It hurts us to see you setting yourself up for such a public failure." Pain. She called my dream, my life's work, my pain. And then the laughter started. Not uproarious belly laughter, the worst kind. The quiet, condescending chuckles, the shaking of heads with amused smiles, the shared glances between them that said, "Look at our poor, deluded Leo." It wasn't loud, but in that sterile dining room, it was deafening. It was the sound of my world being dismantled, brick, by the people who were supposed to be its foundation. That laughter echoed in the silence they left behind as they moved on, discussing Marcus's latest deal, Chloe's upcoming charity ball. I was a ghost at that table, a joke that had already been told. I packed my laptop. My hands were numb. Serena, who had sat silently through it all, followed me out. In the driveway, under the harsh porch light, she wouldn't meet my eyes. "Leo," she sighed, maybe they have a point. What kind of life is this? Waiting for a dream that might never happen? I love you, but I can't just be in love with your potential anymore." The laughter from inside seemed to seep through the walls, wrapping around her words. She chose the real world, their world. She walked back into the house, back to the warmth of their certainty, leaving me in the cold with my so-called pain. That night, in my silent apartment, I made a promise to myself, a silent, solemn vow. They laughed at my pain. Fine, I would turn that pain into my power. I would build my empire not in spite of their laughter, but because of it. Every chuckle, every smirk, every patronizing word would become a brick in my foundation. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I knew with a cold, clear certainty that settled in my gut like a stone, they wouldn't be laughing forever. Have you ever felt truly alone? I don't mean loneliness. I mean a profound, echoing isolation where the only voice you hear is the echo of your own doubt, and it sounds an awful lot like the laughter of everyone you ever loved. That was my world after that dinner. The silence in my apartment was a physical thing, heavy and suffocating, but in that silence, a new sound was born. The quiet, furious click-clack of my keyboard, the sound of a man with nothing left to lose. I quit my data entry job. It was a leash tying me to a life I no longer recognized. I lived off savings that evaporated frighteningly fast. Then I sold my car, my guitar, every non-essential memory. The money bought me time. 6 months of runway. 6 months to turn Kaleidoscope from a prototype into a revolution or crash into oblivion. I was a one-man army, developer, designer, marketer, customer service. I reached out to creators directly, small YouTubers, SoundCloud musicians, indie game developers. I offered them free, lifetime premium accounts. I listened to their frustrations with existing platforms. I built the features they craved. The community that grew was small, but it was fierce. It was built on respect, on a shared understanding of what it meant to create something from nothing. They weren't users, they were comrades in arms. But the specter of failure was a constant companion. The day my rent was due and my account was $200 short, I sat on my floor, head in my hands. I could hear my father's voice. Time to grow up. I could see Marcus's smirk. I almost called him. Almost. But then I looked at my screen, at a message from a digital painter in Finland who wrote, "Kaleidoscope gave me a home for my art. Thank you for seeing us." I didn't call Marcus. I sold my late grandfather's watch, the last thing of value I had that held any sentimental warmth. The cold metal in my palm felt like letting go of the last anchor to my old life. It felt like freedom. The breakthrough came from an unexpected corner. It built a networking feature that allowed creators to collaborate across disciplines. A filmmaker on the platform used it to team up with a composer and a digital artist. Together, they made a short, breathtaking animated film. It went viral. Not cat video viral, but respectful, industry-noticing viral. And in every interview, they credited Kaleidoscope. "This wouldn't have been possible without this platform," they'd say. Overnight, my inbox exploded, not just with creators, but with emails bearing subject lines like investment inquiry and partnership opportunity. My hands shook as I opened them. The numbers they mentioned were astronomical, fictional to someone who'd been counting pennies for noodles. I arranged meetings, I bought one decent suit from a thrift store and wore it to every single one. I learned to talk less and listen more, to let the platform and the passionate testimonials of its users speak for itself. I was no longer the naive dreamer pitching to his family. I was a founder, battle-hardened, lean, and hungry. I chose an investor not for the biggest check, but for the one who understood the vision, a firm run by a woman who had been a sculptor before going into finance. She saw it. She got it. The term sheet she offered was fair, more than fair. When I signed it, the pen felt heavier than my grandfather's watch. This wasn't just money. It was validation. It was a weapon. The first thing I did with the funding wasn't to buy a fancy car or move to a penthouse. I hired a small, brilliant team. People who had been rejected by the big leagues for being too unconventional, too passionate. We were an island of misfit toys, and we were building the coolest castle anyone had ever seen. Kaleidoscope grew, not exponentially, but organically, healthily. It became the go-to platform for serious creators. It was dubbed the portfolio that gets you hired. We started turning a profit, a small, humble one. I was careful, prudent. Every decision was measured. I was running a marathon, not a sprint, and all the while, in the back of my mind, was a silent, ticking clock. My family, of course, had no idea. I had vanished from their world. To them, I was still poor Leo, probably failing in silence, too ashamed to show my face. I let them believe that. Their ignorance was my advantage. Then, at an industry award show, the kind I used to read about online, Kaleidoscope won Most Innovative Platform of the Year. I had to go on stage, in front of hundreds of people, cameras flashing. As I took the trophy, a small, sleek thing that felt like pure energy in my hands, I looked out into the dark auditorium, and for a fleeting second, I wished they could see me. My father, my mother, Marcus, Chloe, Serena. I wish they could see the standing ovation, the respect in people's eyes. But that wish was a moment of weakness, a ghost of the old Leo, the one who craved their approval. As I walked off stage, the cold, hard part of me, the part forged in the fire of their laughter, reasserted itself. No, they didn't get to see this. Not like this, not as spectators to my success. If they ever were to witness what I'd built, it would be on my terms. It would be when they understood completely and utterly the cost of their mockery. The victory felt good, but it wasn't enough. It was just the end of the beginning. The real work was about to start. Success, I learned, is a quiet country. Failure is a noisy, crowded city. My family lived in that city, and I had a front row seat. While Kaleidoscope grew steadily, the world I'd left behind began to show its fractures. I never sought out information about them. I didn't have to. The universe, with a sense of poetic irony, delivered it to me. Marcus, the golden boy, the master of real business, had always been aggressive. His firm specialized in leveraged buyouts, swooping in on struggling companies, stripping them for parts, and selling the carcass. It was brutal, but it made him and my father very, very wealthy. Arrogance, however, is a poison. He overreached. He used his own company's stock, which was wildly overvalued, as collateral to finance his biggest deal yet, the takeover of a national retail chain. He was betting everything: his reputation, the company, the family fortune. The business news sites I occasionally skimmed started using words like risky and over-leveraged, the first crack. Chloe, my socialite sister, had married into what she thought was old money, a handsome, empty-suited heir to a manufacturing empire that was, unbeknownst to her, built on quicksand. Environmental lawsuits, outdated factories, debt piled upon debt. Her husband, Richard, was more interested in his vintage car collection than the ledger's bleeding red. Chloe's perfect Instagram life, the galas, the yachts, the designer labels, was a beautiful screensaver on a computer that was about to crash. My parents had tied their entire retirement, their social standing, everything to Marcus's success. They'd invested heavily in his firm. Their mansion, their club memberships, their very identity was mortgaged on his arrogance. I watched it all unfold from a distance,
Think outside the box.
A silent observer. There was no satisfaction in it, not yet. It was just data, confirmation of a truth I'd felt in my bones that night at the dinner table. Their world was as fragile as glass. They just didn't know it. Then, the catalyst. A major investigative financial journal published a deep dive into Marcus's latest deal. It wasn't just critical, it was damning. It revealed shaky numbers, questionable due diligence, and potential conflicts of interest. The headline was brutal: House of Cards, the high-stakes gamble of Marcus Thorne. The stock began a free fall. Margin calls came. Marcus was forced to sell assets at fire sale prices to cover his debts. The retail chain deal collapsed, leaving him with catastrophic losses. In a matter of weeks, the Thorne family fortune evaporated. The mansion had a second mortgage, the cars were leased, the money was smoke. My phone, which had been silent for years where they were concerned, lit up. It was my mother. Her voice, once so full of placid certainty, was a thin, trembling wire. Leo, honey, it's Mom." The sound of her saying my name like that, with that desperate need, sent a jolt through me. There's been some trouble with Marcus's business. Things are difficult. We were wondering if you were okay? If you could maybe come by?" They weren't asking about me. They were probing. They were drowning and looking for any piece of driftwood. I was their last resort. The poor Leo they might have to beg for help. The irony was so thick I could taste it. I made my voice soft, concerned, the old Leo. "Mom, I'm so sorry to hear that. Things are tight for me too, you know how it is, but I'll see what I can do." I gave them nothing. I let them hang in that space of hopelessness. The laughter was gone from their voices now, replaced by the hollow sound of fear. It was a start. Serena reached out too, a text. "Leo, heard about your family. That's awful. How are you holding up? Maybe we could get coffee? I think about you often." I stared at those words. I think about you often. Now she thought about me, when the money was gone and the stability had crumbled. I didn't reply. Her text was just another piece of data filed away. This was the moment. The ground had been softened, their fortress was breached, but a direct assault would be too easy, too crude. They'd see it as charity, or worse, pity. They needed to walk into the trap themselves. They needed to choose it, to beg for it. And for that, I needed to become not their poor brother Leo, but someone else entirely. I needed a new face, a face they would trust, admire, and never, ever suspect. It was time to build my second creation, not a company, a persona. In the digital world, identity is fluid. You can be anyone. I created M.L. Lockhart, a reclusive, visionary venture capitalist based in Singapore. Lockhart had a sparse but impeccable online footprint, a few mentions in high finance articles about prescient, low-profile investments in tech and green energy. His fund, Horizon Ventures, was described as patient capital for paradigm-shifting ideas. I built a secure, encryptive communication channel. A voice modulator subtly altered my tone, making it deeper, more measured, with a faint, unplaceable accent. Lockhart was a ghost with a checkbook, and he was about to enter their world. The hook was custom-made for Marcus. Through a series of shell corporations and intermediaries I'd established over the years, Horizon Ventures began quietly buying up the distressed debt from Marcus's failed deal. We became his single largest and most mysterious creditor. Then, Lockhart sent his first message. It was a masterpiece of ambiguous benevolence. It acknowledged the unfortunate market circumstances and the undeniable operational talent Marcus possessed. It suggested that his failure was not a vision, but of capital structure and timing. It proposed not a hostile takeover, but a strategic partnership. Lockhart's fund would restructure the debt, inject new capital, and give Marcus a chance to salvage his reputation with a new luxury, eco-friendly mixed-use development. It was exactly the lifeline a drowning, arrogant man would clutch with both hands. Marcus, desperate, and seeing a way to not only survive, but to leap back bigger than before, bit hard. Negotiations began. Lockhart was always reasonable, always just out of reach, communicating only through encrypted channels and a sharp, no-nonsense female assistant, one of my most trusted Kaleidoscope employees, playing the part. The terms were favorable, suspiciously so, but desperation has a way of blurring red flags into mere pink suggestions. For Chloe, the approach was different. Lockhart's cultural arm reached out. They were funding a new, ultra-exclusive arts foundation and needed a director of social outreach and philanthropy. The role was pure prestige, with a generous salary designed to rescue her from her financial embarrassment. It was work she was born to do: plan galas, rub shoulders with the elite, be seen as a tastemaker. The interview was conducted over a secure video line, with me as Lockhart, my face artfully shadowed, my voice modulated. She was effusive, charming, desperate. She got the job. My parents were the simplest piece. A prestigious family office consultancy, another Lockhart front, contacted my father. They specialized in helping established families navigate periods of transition. It was a gentle, face-saving way to manage what was left of their wealth and advise them on future opportunities. My father, stripped of his title and purpose, clung to this shred of professional dignity. Within 3 months, without ever revealing my true face, I had them all. Marcus was working tirelessly on his new project, funded by my money. Chloe was basking in the glow of her new position, spending foundation money to rebuild her social circle. My parents were taking advice from a stranger on how to manage the remnants of their life. They were all employees, assets, owned by the ghost I had created. The stage was set, the actors were in place, performing on a set they didn't know I had built. But there was one final piece: the reveal. They needed to see the architect, and for that, I needed them all in one room. I needed a triumph so public, so undeniable, that their humiliation would be absolute. I instructed Lockhart's assistant to convey a message. To celebrate the launch of Marcus's new development project and Chloe's successful inaugural gala for the foundation, Horizon Ventures was hosting an exclusive invitation-only summit, a weekend at a stunning, remote, modern estate on the coast. It would be a gathering of all Lockhart's key partners and projects, a sign of his faith in them. Attendance was mandatory for their continued partnership. They accepted without hesitation. Of course they did. It was the validation they craved, the entry into the inner circle of a powerful, mysterious benefactor. I purchased the estate under a blind trust. It was a stark, beautiful piece of architecture, all glass, steel, and sharp angles, perched on a cliff overlooking the sea. It looked like the lair of a tech billionaire, which, in a way, it was. The day of the summit arrived. I watched from a hidden control room as their cars came up the long, winding drive. I saw Marcus, puffed up with importance, helping my mother out of the car. Chloe, dressed to impress, scanning the property with a calculating eye. My father, trying to look authoritative, but seeming small against the monumental scale of the house. Serena was there too, on Chloe's arm. Of course she was, clinging to the closest thing to a life raft she could find. They were ushered inside by silent professional staff. The main hall was a vast space with a floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the raging ocean. There was no art on the walls, just one large blank screen at the far end. A sense of eerie anticipation filled the room. They mingled nervously, but there were no other guests, just them. A quiet chime sounded through hidden speakers. The doors to the hall locked softly. They turned, confused. Then the screen flickered to life. The trap was sprung. The walls were up. They were in my world now, and the performance was about to begin. The screen showed a logo, the sleek, abstract mark of Kaleidoscope. A few of them blinked, not recognizing it. Then a montage began to play, not of the platform's features, but of its impact. A Grammy-winning composer saying, "I uploaded my demo to Kaleidoscope. That's where my producer found me." An Oscar-nominated director, "My short film was discovered on Kaleidoscope. It changed my life." Statistics flashed up: user growth, revenue, industry awards, including the one I'd won. The production was cinematic, powerful. It told the story of a quiet revolution. My family watched, puzzled. Why was this tech presentation their welcome? The montage ended. The screen went dark for a moment, then a live video feed appeared. It was me, but not the Leo they remembered. This was Leo, the CEO. hair styled, wearing a tailored jacket over a simple black t-shirt, sitting in what was clearly a designer chair. I was in the control room, but on their screen, I appeared against a plain, dark background. I looked directly into the camera, calm, unsmiling. "Hello," I said, my real voice, no modulator. The reaction in the hall was a study in slow-motion collapse. Marcus's head tilted, as if trying to reconcile the image with a memory. Chloe's hand flew to her mouth. My mother gasped, her eyes wide. My father simply stared, his face draining of color. Serena took a step back, as if physically pushed. "Welcome," I continued, my voice even, "to the Kaleidoscope Strategic Summit, or as I've privately called it, Operation Retribution." "I imagine you're confused," I said. "Let me clarify. You are here as my guests. This house is mine. The Lockhart Fund is mine. The debt Marcus owes, the salary Chloe receives, the consulting advising my parents, all mine. Every lifeline you've been clinging to for the past few months was thrown by me." Marcus found his voice first, anger erupting over his shock. "Leo, what the hell is this? Some kind of sick joke? Where is Mr. Lockhart?" "There is no Mr. Lockhart, Marcus," I said, a faint, cold smile touching my lips. "There's just me, the brother with the little hobby, the one chasing pain. I built Kaleidoscope. The platform you laughed at is now worth over $300 million. The pain you pitied, it was my fuel." My father, ever the pragmatist even in crisis, stammered, "Leo, if this is true, why the charade? Why not just help your family?" "Help you?" I let the word hang in the air. "You didn't want my help. You wanted my surrender. You wanted me to admit I was a fool and come beg for a place at your table. This wasn't about helping you. This was about showing you. You are not here as family. You are here as case studies in failure. You laughed at my dream because you couldn't see past your own reflection in your polished silver. Look at you now. Marcus, the financial genius, whose entire empire collapsed because he couldn't see a house of cards until he was buried in it. Chloe, the socialite, who married a facade and now works for the brother she mocked. Mom, Dad, you invested everything in the wrong son." The words were precise, surgical. I didn't raise my voice. The quiet intensity was far more devastating than any shout. "The weekend agenda is simple," I explained. "You will stay here as my guests. You will be comfortable, but you will listen. Tomorrow, you will each be given a full forensic presentation of your current financial and professional situations, prepared by my analysts. You will see in detail how utterly dependent you are on my goodwill. Then we will discuss your futures." Chloe, tears of rage and humiliation in her eyes, spat, "You can't keep us here. This is insane." "The doors are locked for your own security, Chloe," I replied smoothly. "This is a secure facility. You are free to try the windows. They're triple-paned and unbreakable. Your phones have no signal. This is a closed ecosystem. My ecosystem, just like the one you tried to keep me in. The difference is mine is real." I saw Serena shrink into the background, trying to become invisible. Our eyes met through the screen. "Hello, Serena. Still only interested in potential once it's been realized, I see." I stood up on the feed. "Dinner will be served at 8. Your rooms are prepared. I suggest you use the time to reflect. The laughter has stopped. Now you get to understand the silence." The screen went black. The hall was left in a stunned, heavy silence, broken only by the distant crash of waves against the cliffs. The first phase of the revenge was complete. Exposure. They were laid bare, their powerlessness absolute. But this wasn't the end. This was just the intermission. The real punishment wasn't captivity. It was the choice I was going to force them. The choice between pride and survival. And I already knew which one they would pick. They'd already shown me years ago what they valued most. The night was long in the glass house. I watched them on hidden cameras, not with glee, but with a cold, analytical detachment. They didn't speak much. What was there to say? They sat in their assigned luxurious bedrooms, each a gilded cell, staring at walls or the angry sea. The facade of family unity had shattered completely. I saw Marcus pacing, furious, Chloe crying silent, angry tears, my parents huddled together, looking ancient and lost. Serena sat alone on a bed, hugging her knees, the reality of her choice crushing her. Morning came. A silent staff served them breakfast in the main hall. The food was exquisite. They barely touched it. The air was thick with dread. At 10 a.m., the screen lit up again. This time, it was a presentation, and it was brutal. For Marcus, a slide deck detailing every bad decision, every over-leverage, every arrogant assumption that led to his collapse. It showed how Lockhart's fund had acquired his debt for pennies on the dollar. It presented the new development project, his supposed salvation. And then it revealed the truth. The land had significant undisclosed environmental remediation issues. The permits were provisional, based on falsified reports I had arranged. The project was a financial sinkhole. If he proceeded, he would fail again, publicly and utterly. If he walked away, he defaulted to me, and I would own what was left of his company entirely. He was cornered. For Chloe, a breakdown of her husband's bankrupt family business, a list of her personal debts, the exorbitant spending on her foundation credit card. Then footage played, secretly recorded clips of her at her new job, making catty remarks about the very artist she was supposed to be supporting, complaining about the cheap champagne at an event. It showed her using foundation resources to try and reboot her own social status. It was a portrait of breathtaking hypocrisy. For my parents, a full accounting of their finances, how they'd blindly followed Marcus's advice, investing everything. The second mortgage, the dwindling accounts, graphs showing their net worth over time, a steep cliff ending in a flat line near zero. Then photos. Photos of them at club events, laughing with friends, from just weeks before their collapse. The caption, the last performance. The presentations ended. I reappeared on screen, live. "You now have the full picture," I said. "The truth you were so fond of demanding from me. Here are your options." I looked at Marcus. "Marcus, you can resign from your company today. Sign it over to my holding company to settle your debt. You walk away with no title, but also no personal bankruptcy, a cleanish slate. Or you can fight, and I will release every piece of damaging data you just saw to the press and the regulators. You will never work in finance again." I turned to Chloe. "Chloe, you can publicly resign from the foundation, citing personal reasons. You will issue a written apology to the artistic community for your disrespectful conduct, which I will post on the foundation's site. You will then attend and fully fund a series of grants for truly struggling artists. Your husband will file for corporate bankruptcy, which is inevitable anyway. You start from zero, honestly. Or I release the footage. Your social life will be over, permanently." Finally, my parents. "Mom, Dad, you will move out of the mansion. You will sell it and all non-essential assets. You will live on a fixed, modest allowance I provide. You will also record a video testimonial. You will say, on camera, that you were wrong about me, that you failed as parents by valuing status over support, money over dreams, that you are proud of the son you tried to break. This video will be private, for me. Or you face the public unraveling of your curated lives. Your friends will see the desperation behind the smiles." I leaned forward. "These are not negotiations. They are reconciliations with reality. You have 24 hours to decide, to sign the documents that are waiting in your rooms. Choose pride and be destroyed. Choose survival and accept my terms." The screen went dark. The staff entered, placing elegant folders in front of each of them. I didn't watch them decide. I didn't need to. I went for a walk along the cliff path, the salty wind biting my face. This moment, this victory I had engineered for years, tasted of ashes. There was no joy, just a vast, hollow emptiness. Was this what I wanted? To become the puppeteer of their misery? To reduce them to signing away their pride under threat of annihilation? The laughter was gone and replaced by the silence of my own making, and it was infinitely louder. Back in the control room hours later, the notifications came in, one by one. Digital signatures on the documents, Marcus's resignation and transfer of assets, Chloe's resignation letter and drafted apology, my parents' agreement to the terms, and a note confirming the video would be made. Serena had signed nothing. She was irrelevant to the deal, a bystander caught in the blast. They had chosen survival, as I knew they would. Their pride was a luxury they could no longer afford. I had won. I had broken them completely. But as I looked at the signed documents on my screen, the cold triumph I expected refused to come. All I felt was the weight of the monster I had become to slay the dragons of my past. I let them go at dawn. The doors unlocked silently. Their cars were brought around. No one spoke to me. They couldn't even look in the direction of the cameras. They just left, a procession of broken spirits driving away from the glass prison back to the ruins of their lives. My parents moved into a small, comfortable apartment in a quiet part of the city, funded by the allowance. The video testimonial arrived a week later. Seeing them, older and diminished, speaking the words I demanded, was unbearable. I deleted it without watching it to the end. The victory was poison. Marcus vanished from the financial scene. I heard he moved to another state, took a mid-level management job at a nondescript firm. The mighty brought low. The brother who was my benchmark for failure was now the benchmark for nothing. Chloe's apology was posted. It was brief, stilted, but it was there. The social media whispers were vicious for a while. Then she faded into obscurity. The last I heard, she and her husband were separating. Serena sent a final email. It said, "You became the thing you hated. I hope it was worth it." I didn't reply. She was right. And she was wrong. Kaleidoscope continued to thrive, but the fire was gone. The drive that had been fueled by pain and the need for revenge had burned out, leaving a cold, efficient engine. I was rich. I was respected. I was alone. The castle I built was magnificent, and I sat on its throne in absolute silence. A year passed. The ashes settled. One afternoon, I was cleaning out a storage box from my old apartment. I found a picture. It was a family photo, taken years ago at a picnic. We were all smiling, squinting in the sun. My father's arm was around me. Chloe was making a silly face. Marcus was pretending to put me in a headlock. We looked happy. We looked like a family. I stared at that photo for a long time. The memory felt like it belonged to someone else, to a boy who hadn't yet heard the laughter that would define him. And I realized, with a sorrow that threatened to drown me, that in my quest to make them stop laughing, I had killed that boy. I had sacrificed every good memory, every possibility of forgiveness, every chance at healing on the altar of revenge. I wanted them to see my pain, and in the end, all I had done was magnify it, spread it to all of us, and trapped us in its echo forever. Revenge is not a dish best served cold. It's a banquet where you are the only guest, and every course is made of salt. It fills you up with emptiness. It makes you powerful and utterly powerless at the same time. I had all the proof I ever needed. I had all the power, and it meant nothing. The laughter was gone, and I would have given everything I had to hear it again, just once, if it meant it was the warm, loving laughter from that sun-drenched picnic, and not the cold, mocking kind that started this war. I had won, and in winning, I had lost everything that ever mattered. This is not a story with a happy ending. There is no triumphant reunion, no tearful forgiveness, no magical healing. Life is not a movie. Some bridges, once burned, leave a chasm too wide to cross. Some words, once spoken, can never be unheard. Some pain, once inflicted, becomes a landscape you both have to live in. But this is a story with a lesson, a reflection in the broken glass. My family and I, we are ghosts to each other now. We move through the world shaped by the same tragedy, but isolated in our separate cells of consequence. The money, the status, the revenge, it was all just set dressing for a play about our own failures. They failed to see me. I failed to see that making them see me wouldn't make me whole. So what is the point of telling you this? If you are the one being laughed at, being underestimated, being told your dream is just pain, hear me. Let that be your fuel. Build your castle. Prove them wrong, but build it to live in, not to siege from. Build it with rooms for love, for forgiveness, for the future. Don't let their laughter become the architect of your soul, because if you do, you might get everything you ever wanted and find it's a monument to your own misery. And if you are the one laughing, stop. You have no idea the fire you are lighting. You have no idea what you are creating in the heart of the person you mock. You're not stating a fact. You are planting a seed, and you will not control what grows from it. It might be a masterpiece, it might be a monster, or, as in my case, it might be both. They laughed at my pain, and they aren't laughing anymore. But the silence we share now is so much worse. It's a silence filled with the ghosts of what we could have been to each other. A silence that reminds me every day that the most devastating revenge is the one that leaves you alone with your victory, wondering what the price was truly worth. Choose your path carefully. Build, but don't destroy. Rise, but don't ruin. Because in the end, the echo of your own choices is the only sound that will forever remain in your ears. And if you ever find yourself where I began, remember this. It's better to build a home than a throne, and the only approval that will ever truly fill the silence is your own.